Hi, Caleb and Steve with Brownells here, back with another edition of Smyth Busters. And today we're going to be taking a look at the myth that MilSpec quality equals the lowest quality. Steve?
Well, to be honest, MilSpec can mean more than one thing. For example, it can mean a standard of quality, most often associated with the military, of course. Mm-hmm. It can also mean a size, like on a stock or a buffer tube.
Yep.
And they're used two different ways. But MilSpec, the way I look at MilSpec is something that was produced for the military, has been inspected by the military, has a trail of paperwork a mile long, has been used with military gauges, everything has been done by and for and around the military. That's true MilSpec. The stuff on the civilian market is just like it, but it doesn't have that certificate, that certification, I guess I should say.
Right, exactly. That's exactly it. And a great example of this is going to be the receiver extension. So you see a lot of commercial and MilSpec receiver extensions. And we all know that, different stocks, you can only use, the
right.
MilSpec stock on MilSpec and commercial on commercial.
Why would they do that?
Yeah, so the big thing with it is that your MilSpec receiver extension is more than just a dimension that fits a stock. The MilSpec receiver extension has to be made out of a certain material, and it has to be a certain measurement. So your MilSpec buffer tube or receiver extension is going to be 7075 T6 hard coat anodized aluminum. Your commercial one can be made out of any mystery aluminum out there. So
right.
As far as quality goes, if you're buying a MilSpec buffer tube or receiver extension, that's probably the best one.
The MilSpecs are normally machined out of solid, which is why they can have thinner walls. The inside stays the same diameter no matter what. You don't have special buffers for one or the other. But the exterior is bigger on a commercial because it's an extrusion that's later machined. It's cheaper to make that way, but they thickened it so it would have exactly the same strength. Fun fact, the easy way to tell them apart by sight is on a MilSpec, the threads will be slightly larger diameter than the tube itself. On a commercial, they're all the same diameter.
Yep, and on the back slant. There are some commercial ones out there with a flat back, but
that always confuses me. I don't like to go by that.
Yeah, because there are some anomalies out there, but for the most part, the MilSpecs are going to be flat back, whereas the commercials will be slanted.
Right. But when it comes to your internal parts, hammers, triggers, magazines, whatever, there's a lot of stuff out there that meets or exceeds the MilSpec.
Right.
But we don't really like to call it MilSpec because it wasn't made for the military. It didn't pass military inspection. It doesn't have the certificate from the military saying that it meets the requirements.
Right.
But it's as good as or better.
Yeah, and another good example on that type of stuff is, an upper receiver. There are plenty of good upper receivers out there that aren't MilSpec, like your Aero Precisions and things like that. And there are plenty of really bad ones out there, like some of the Chinese-made, billet uppers that are made out of your mystery aluminum and things like that. So, when in doubt, definitely go with MilSpec or go with a good name brand, and you'll be just fine.
Right. And to tell the truth, for the occasional shooter, most of this stuff is just fine. It's not going to suffer in quality. It won't affect the longevity of your gun. But if you're going to use something hard, especially for military law enforcement or training or 3-gun, anything like that, where you're going to shoot thousands of rounds a year, be careful about your components. Make sure they meet or exceed the MilSpec.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, we could go on about this all day, going through all the parts. I know we just kind of scratched the surface, but that's all we really needed to do because MilSpec is definitely not the lowest quality.
Right.
So,
we get a lot of calls about this on the tech line too, but MilSpec generally means good stuff.
Yeah, so if you would like to add anything to that, or you have any comments, leave them down below, or as always, give us a call on the tech line. We'll be happy to help you out. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.